Hello, and welcome to Virtual Investor Conferences. On behalf of OTC Markets, we're very pleased you joined us for our AI and Technology Conference. Our next presentation is from Blockmate Ventures. Please note you may submit questions for the presenter in the box to the left of the slides. You can also view a company's availability for one-on-one meetings by clicking Book a Meeting in the top toolbar. At this point, I'm very pleased to welcome our next presenter. He's Dominic Carosa, co-founder and chairman of Blockmate Ventures, which trades in the OTCQB venture market under the symbol MATEF and on the TSXV under the symbol MATE. Welcome, Dominic.
Thanks for having me, and looking forward to presenting Blockmate today. Maybe just to start before I jump into the formal presentation, I just wanted to give everyone a quick overview with regards to my background. As you can maybe tell, I'm Australian, now living in Europe, and been involved in technology since the mid-90s, and crypto and blockchain since 2013. Launched a number of companies, and one of the most notable is a company called Banksa, which is also listed on the TSXV. In fact, it just received a just shy of $100 million takeover bid only about a week ago. But you can read more about that online. What I'd like to do is just really present Blockmate and what we're trying and what we're building. So Blockmate's a venture builder, and I'll explain what that actually means as we go through the presentation. And by the way, if there are any questions, feel free to ask those questions through your control panel. Our whole vision is about starting companies from scratch. Those that have ideally some kind of definitely a tech angle and a positive impact. Whether that's social or climate orientated. And then as we then start and build these companies, we leverage the expertise, my expertise, the expertise of our team, who've got significant track record, and then use that as really the way to execute and build forward, and then really amplify our ecosystem. And effectively build out. And I'll sort of talk more about how that looks like. From a corporate structure perspective, and I think this will help set the scene. We've got Blockmate Ventures, which is the public company, both on the TSX and on the OTC. And as of today, we have two divisions. And I'll maybe sort of talk about we started Havelo about 2 years ago, and that's really the strategy. We start companies from scratch, where we own 100%, typically in the technology space, and then we build a team, and we raise money within that private entity. And so I'll talk more about how that impacts Havelo and the Blockmate share price. And then we just launched about a month and a half ago, Blockmate Mining, which I'll also talk more about. And we own 100% of that because that's a new company that we've just set up. And then over time, as we raise money, we'll get diluted, but without affecting Mate shareholders. And I think that's really part of our DNA, and part of our secret sauce is that we're able to start new ventures and then raise money within those private entities without diluting Blockmate shareholders. So I think that's quite unique in the marketplace. And in terms of the future, over the next 12 to 24 months, we will launch venture number 3. And we've already got some ideas cooking in the background. And at a high level, basically the assets. So we've raised money within Havelo, and I will double click on both Havelo and Blockmate Mining. We've raised $5 million US into that private entity, and that basically gives a implied value of 15 cents Canadian per share. So it's about 10, 11 cents US per share for those that are on the OTC. And that's just that particular asset. And now we've just launched Blockmate Mining, and we're in the process of raising capital within that private entity. As I mentioned, I've already given a little bit of background on myself. We also have Justin, who's our CEO. He's got a very strong financial background, has been involved in startups and raising capital over the last 20 years, both across the ASX, the Australian Securities Exchange, and the TSX Venture Exchange as well. And then we have Constantine, our CFO, and then our non-executive directors, Corbin and Dr. George, who bring a wealth of experience to the table. So I've spoken about Blockmate and the venture side and how we basically go out there and start and then build companies. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to double click on the two core assets within Blockmate today. The first one is Havelo. We launched Havelo a number of years ago, and the best way to describe Havelo is we're like Airbnb for your computer. So if you've got a house or a room, you can rent out the room or the house and get paid for it. So what we're allowing through Havelo is for you to do exactly the same thing for your computer. You can basically take your computer resources, and I'll try not to get too nerdy. Resources like your CPU, your GPU, your bandwidth, your IP address, your storage, to effectively create these decentralized networks and getting paid for doing so. And so there's a segment within Web3, within blockchain Web3 called DePIN, that stands for Decentralized Physical Infrastructure Networks. And in effect, that's part of the Web3 ecosystem. That what we've done is basically taken some, I'm going to say, fairly complicated Web3 type opportunities and applications and wrap them in a Web 2.5 environment. And what does that mean? That basically means that you as a consumer can go to the Havelo website, download Havelo. It scans your machine and works out what kind of system resources you have. It will then automatically install the best DPINs and allowing you to then generate income, basically passive income by sharing your computer resources. And you as a consumer only need to make sure that your computer is connected to power and internet. And that's really the secret sauce that we're building. I can talk about running multiple DPINs and native DPIN token payouts or stablecoin or cash, and using AI agents. I mean, that's a lot of talk, in terms from a technology or technical perspective. But really, at the end of the day, we're just making it simple for people to Airbnb their computer. Some of the key metrics that we use internally. So part of our computer network is actually contributing GPUs to train AI models. And so one of the key stats internally that we look for is the number of AI inference jobs that are running across our network. And when I say our network, it's our customers. We've got about 10,000 nodes running right now, basically contributing to building decentralized networks. And the way that we make money at Havelo is as our node runners, the people who are running Havelo out there, are earning income by sharing their computer resources. We clip the ticket and take a percentage. How the application works is really simple. Whether you're Windows, Mac, or Linux, you go to the Havelo website, you click a button, you install it. It will then scan your system and work out all of these system resources. So, they're akin to a house. Is it a 3-bedroom house or a 1-bedroom house? Do you have Wi-Fi? Do you have shampoos sitting in the bathroom? So it does all of those things, but for your computer. And then it will basically run the best DPINs in order to maximize the ROI for you. and then you effectively can get paid in stable coins or even cash to your bank account. I mentioned earlier that Havelo, the private entity Havelo, has raised just over $5 million US without diluting Blockmate shareholders. And we've brought on some major VCs and groups in the space like Animoca Brands, Blockchain Founders Fund, Blockchain, Teisu Ventures out of Japan, NGC out of Singapore, a number of exchanges as well. So really have brought on a blue chip group of investors. And what this basically tries to illustrate is the net asset value growth of our Havelo asset. And once again, just to sort of double click on this, when we started the company, Blockmate owned 100%. And then as we raised money within Havelo to build it, to build a team, to build technology, to go out there and acquire customers, we actually raised money at higher and higher valuations. And the last capital raise that we did was on a $30 million pre-money valuation. And that's because at least today, you can actually achieve a much higher valuation in the private company space than you can in the public company space. And that's just, I guess, the nature of the market right now. So Havelo raised, Blockmate owns approximately 50% on a fully diluted basis, which basically means that it's roughly 15 million US, and we've got just shy of 150 million shares on issue. So it's just over 10 cents US per share or 15 cents per share Canadian. That's just the value of Havelo, let alone a public company and the team and what I'm just about to talk to you about with regards to Blockmate mining. We have been working on this opportunity for well over a year. We see tremendous opportunity in the space, and it's partly a Bitcoin and AI mining opportunity, but at the same time, it's really an energy arbitrage opportunity. And our mission is to build both Bitcoin with the mine and hold strategy, a lot like a lot of the treasury companies are doing out there, but obviously we can mine it at a significantly reduced cost than just buying it spot. So that's the Bitcoin mining operation. And then really, when I say medium term, over the next 2 to 4 years, to focus our attention on the AI space. Right now, there is significant demand for AI compute, and so what we're basically looking to do, we have a facility, and I'll talk more about that. A total of 200 megawatts available to us, of which we'll take a part of it for Bitcoin mining, purely because we can mine it at a basically 30 to 40% reduction to the spot price. And so from that perspective, and obviously our objective is to buy and hold those particular Bitcoins, and then take the remainder of the site and either joint venture or partner with other Bitcoin mining companies. And we're already talking to a number, including one that's listed. And then also exploring, and we are talking to a couple of groups in the AI space, where they'll be able to bring their expertise as well as customers from an AI perspective. Now, I'll answer all the questions at the end. I've got Andrew and James that have asked a few questions. Keep the questions coming along, because I'll come back and answer them. So we've managed to secure a 200 megawatt facility. We're going to effectively chunk how we build it out. We'll start with 10 megawatts, then 50, then 100, and then 200, because you can't just go to the power company and say, I want 200 megawatts tomorrow. It takes time for them to upgrade their particular facilities, to lay the lines, and I'll talk about the property that we've secured, because that's effectively one of the core reasons we're able to do this, because the property that we've acquired is literally across the road from the substation, and we're able to secure power at 3.3 cents per kilowatt, which is very, very good, a very good price in anyone's language. And just to give you some context, hypothetically, if we were running 200 megawatts today, we were at full capacity, we would be mining around 200 Bitcoins a month at capacity. That just gives you a sense of the capacity and the potential of this site and this particular opportunity. And that's, we're talking a fairly substantial amount of money there. So really moving forward, and what we've secured in Wyoming, Wyoming being one of the most crypto-friendly states in the US, and so we've effectively acquired land just shy of $1 million. It's over 100 acres, so plenty of land that's appropriately zoned for us to roll out our Bitcoin and our AI mining facility, and we've also got connectivity just up the road with dark fiber, which is obviously super important when you're running all things AI. So that hopefully gives everyone a bit of a sense of what we're doing in the Bitcoin space. And what I should have also mentioned, that we've actually had a few questions around how are we actually looking to fund this, and what kind of dollars are involved. And just to give some context, to deploy 50 megawatts, it's about 60 million to deploy, and this is for Bitcoin mining. And to deploy 200 megawatts, you're looking at about 220 million. So obviously, as you grow and scale, you do get those economies of scale. And we're talking to a number of equity investors who would invest directly into the Blockmate mining private company. We're also talking to a number of debt providers, purely because, particularly in Bitcoin mining, the cash flows are actually quite strong and positive, so we can afford to bring on some debt. And we're also then looking at some other, I'm going to say, more novel ways of raising capital, and that is to forward sell the Bitcoin hashes, basically forward sell them and tokenize them to investors, where investors are effectively able to buy a future on that. And we're talking to a few groups that have actually already done this before. So there's a few ways that we're looking at raising capital for the Bitcoin mining and the AI operation. In terms of our company and from a corporate perspective, some of you may know Tony G. He's quite a famous and well-known investor out there. He basically took Sol Strategies from 3 cents to a couple of dollars over a 4-year period. And late last year, he came on board as one of our strategic shareholders. He owns, I think right now, about 10% of the company. And he's been a totally, absolutely invaluable addition to the team. His Rolodex is enormous. And he brings, a lot of, credibility to what we're doing here at Blockmate. From a corporate perspective, we're listed on both the TSXV, OTCQB, and the Frankfurt Exchange. And what you'll see by the graph is Tony G invested in December, and then the stock went up around sort of 40 cents plus. And then obviously with the market correction came down, and we're now, I think, looking back towards the up and up. In terms of warrants, there are some warrants there, and 17 million at 7.5 cents. That's going to provide us, enough capital within Blockmate just to basically see us through for many more years to come, because we've got quite a low burn within the Blockmate public company. So definitely happy to sort of answer questions. So I've now got a bunch of questions coming through from Skip and Andrew and John and Tony. So I'll basically try and sort of take each of those one at a time. Andrew asks, how do you scale the Havalo business, assuming this is a priority? That's a good question, Andrew. So our target audience for Havalo are consumers, particularly in emerging markets that have got a computer, a desktop or a laptop that's obviously connected to power and internet. We've got about 10,000 Havalo nodes running today, and that's with a very, very minimal budget. We're just in the process of coming out of beta. We've been in beta for about 6 months. We've got about another quarter to go. And then I think at that point, we're really going to start being able to accelerate. And then Andrew asks, what's the typical payout? And it all depends on your machine, the country that you're in. Do you actually keep your computer on 24/7, or do you turn it on and off? And so if I'm going to give you a range, if you're basically on and off, and you've got a 20-year-old machine, you may be earning $1 or $2 a month. If you've got a more, I'm going to say a more newer computer that's permanently connected to power and internet, some of our top users in the last 30 days have earned $40 to $50 extra a month just by sharing their computer resources. And we're obviously aiming to try and increase our revenue per each Havalo node. And so, we're really at the early stages. And we're very, very passionate about obviously blockchain and decentralization, but really giving people an ability to earn income, passive income, particularly relevant in emerging markets where 20 or 30 or $50 a month can actually put dinner on the table or food on the table for a family. Maybe not so much for those people living in New York City, where I'm sure if you go out for 1 or 2 cocktails, that's $100 just sitting there. I've got a few other questions here. We talked about the payout. Skip asks, what is the strategy behind your buy and burn initiative? Yeah, what I should have mentioned is that Havalo, through the Havalo Association, launched a token that basically, if you think of Havalo, the token sits beside it. And the whole purpose of the token is to help incentivize and grow. There's this concept in crypto and specifically DeepIn called a cold start. And what that basically means is that you can use your token as a way of incentivizing the network, the audience, to set up the nodes in the early stages, because you're going to be incentivizing them with the Havalo token. And so just to kind of double click on that, we've done one airdrop. So people who are using Havalo or earning the various DeepIn tokens are also earning the Havalo token as extra APY, as extra revenue. And we're just about to do our next 50 million airdrop at the end of August for our users. And so that kind of helps attract more users, because they want to use Havalo, but they also want to be part of the airdrop. So think of it as a sort of free marketing budget. And then there's this concept within tokens and this whole space called buy and burn. And so what we did, not that long ago, I think a week and a half ago, we took some of the revenue that Havalo was earning. We then went on market and bought the Havalo token, and we burnt it. And what that basically means is that we take the supply, because there's all up 10 billion tokens that will ever be released. We bought part of those tokens and we burnt it. Basically, what it means is that we've put it into a locker, into a wallet that basically makes those tokens disappear. What does that do from a token perspective? Rather than a token being inflationary, it becomes deflationary. And if things deflate from a token world perspective, the price of the token actually increases. And as of today, our token value has, they call it an FDV. We've got a 5 million US fully diluted valuation for our token. This is above and beyond the value that we're talking for Blockmate shareholders. Mr. Sowers asks, will we eventually uplist to NASDAQ? That's certainly on our radar. I think we're a bit too small right now. I think what would have maybe a high chance of getting to NASDAQ faster will actually be the Bitcoin mining opportunity, purely because that's, at scale, that's a very, very material business. And in fact, we've already been contacted by a number of groups on NASDAQ looking to joint venture or partner. So NASDAQ is where we'd like to be one day, but I wouldn't want to put a time frame around it. James asks, with the Havelo token, where can I see it and how do I buy it? So there's a website called, and for those that are interested in kind of double clicking and getting involved in crypto, there's a website called CoinMarketCap, CMC for short, CoinMarketCap. There's another one called CoinGecko. They're basically, sites where all the tokens, obviously you'll see the Big Daddy Bitcoin at the top. You'll be able to search for the Havelo token, HVLO. You can basically go in there and then basically see all the stats. And then you're able to buy the Havelo token across, there's 2 exchanges that we currently support called Gate and MEXC. And for those that are in the US or in North America, you have to go down the decentralized route, which is called Radium. So we're basically on Radium, and you go to something like Dex Screener to buy the token. All of those instructions, by the way, are on the Havelo website. And you can also basically, we just recently teamed up with my old company Banksa, where you can take your credit card or payment with ACH in the US or Interact if you're in Canada, and buy the Havelo token directly. So definitely go to havelo.com and have a bit of a play with regards to Havelo. Feel free to keep those questions coming through. We've got time for a couple more questions. Kevin asks, what are some of the biggest challenges and opportunities in the space? I think right now the MATE mining opportunity is significant. We have, when we started, just to give you a bit of a sense, when we started talking to investors, we were talking at that sort of 15 million mark, allows us to get to 10 megawatts, albeit we can do 200 megawatts. And the general feedback from the investors that we've been talking to is simply, think bigger. We should be talking and looking at raising 50 to 60 million, because frankly, let's call it the amount of time and effort required to raise 60 versus 10 to 15, it's about the same. And we've actually had much more appetite at the bigger dollar values than at the smaller values. And I think that's just investors being quite shrewd and looking at what we're doing from a mining perspective as quite opportunistic. So I think we've exhausted all the questions that have actually come through. So I'd like to thank everyone for their time. If you want to contact us, what I'd certainly encourage you is go to blockmate.com and register for a newsletter, and we send that out on a regular basis. Or feel free to email myself or Justin, our CEO. Thank you, and have a great day.